Welcome to Spellbound Studio, everybody. I'm Tracy, and this is Fan Art Friday. Before we get started, please become a star in the Spellbound constellation by liking, subscribing, sharing, or commenting. Wanda Maximoff has always lived at the intersection of tragedy and power. Long before she became the Scarlet Witch, she was a young Sokovian girl whose life was shaped by war, loss, and the fear of the world collapsing without any warning at all. Her story in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is, at its very core, a study in how grief can distort reality and how unresolved trauma can push even the most well-meaning person into morally murky territory. WandaVision was the first time the franchise allowed all of these threads to converge, which gives us a portrait of a woman whose pain is so big that it's spilled into the world around her. And what makes her even more compelling is that she is neither completely good or completely bad. She occupies a gray space where sympathy, accountability, and power collide. So before we go any further, I want you to keep this in mind. I want you to ask yourself, do you see Wanda as a tragic hero shaped by grief, or someone whose power pushed her into darker territory? Wanda's beginnings in the MCU are defined by suffering on an almost mythic scale. She and her twin brother Pietro grew up in war-torn Sokovia. They were watched American sitcoms as escapism while bombs were falling outside of their house. That childhood sanctuary ended the moment that a Stark Industries missile landed in their home. This killed their parents, and this left Wanda and Pietro trapped beside another unexploded bomb for days. This was when terror, helplessness, this forms the bedrock of Wanda's later attachment to television as a symbol of safety and stability. And from there, her life just goes deeper into trauma. She and her brother joined Hydra. They were seeking power to protect their homeland. Then Wanda survived the Mind Stone experiments, and it's discovered that she possesses extraordinary psychic abilities, but the cost is very steep. She and Pietro were weaponized, they were radicalized, and they were isolated from the world they once knew. And then she loses Pietro in the Ages of Ultron. He was shot down while saving civilians, and this is another major loss. It's not the first blow in a chain of grief, but that's a pretty big one. That means her parents and her brother are dead, which means she's the only surviving member of her family. Throughout the Civil War part of the story, Wanda tried to be better. She joins the Avengers as a force for good, but her powers cause collateral damage and levels. The guilt of accidentally killing innocent people becomes another layer of trauma. She is locked up, monitored, and treated as a threat. But while she was here, she fell in love with Vision. And even this came at a cost of hiding, running, and living with constant fear of what her power might do. Then, of course, in Infinity War, Wanda experienced the most devastating loss of all. She is forced to kill Vision herself in an attempt to stop Thanos, only to watch Thanos reverse time and kill him again, which is horrible. And Wanda is the only Avenger who had to watch her partner die twice, by the way. So when the world came back after the blip, Wanda returned alone. The grief is now an open wound that she no longer knows how to contain. When Wanda walked into the Sword compound and saw Vision's disassembled body laid out on tables, it was the final breaking point. She was not there to resurrect him or steal him. She wanted to say goodbye. But seeing him torn apart, reduced to components, it stripped away the last threads holding her together. Wanda drives to Westview, the town that Vision had chosen for them to build a life in, a life they never got to start. In a moment of pure emotional collapse, her power surged outward. So the Hex was born out of raw grief, subconscious desire, and the desperate need to feel something other than devastation. And it was not a calculated act, at least not at first. Wanda's creation of Westview is an instinctive attempt to rewrite her world into something she can survive. She recreates Vision, she imagines children, and wraps the entire town in a psychic cocoon built from the television shows that once brought her comfort. The sitcom format is not just a cute gimmick. It is Wanda's coping mechanism made literal. Each decade she cycles through represents her psychological state. Denial, nostalgia, fantasy, and finally confrontation. But inside that fantasy, she inadvertently enslaves an entire town. They feel her emotions, they dream her nightmares. And when the cracks begin to show, Wanda chooses to hold the illusion together instead of dissolving it. And this is where her actions shift from inadvertent harm to ethically questionable choices. She knows that something is wrong, but she does not want to face it. And then here comes Agatha. Agatha Harkness is a witch who senses the vast magic emanating from Westview. She infiltrates the Hex under the guise of a nosy neighbor. Agatha is more than a villain, she is a catalyst. She's a narrative pressure point designed to force Wanda to confront what she's been avoiding. When the famous Agatha All Along reveal hits, it reframes everything. Agatha did not create the Hex, but she had been poking at Wanda's illusion. She's trying to understand it, she's testing the boundaries, and she's trying to uncover the true extent of Wanda's power. The confrontation between them is not just a battle of spells, it is also a battle of identities. Agatha represents the cold truth that Wanda refuses to face, that her grief has become destructive. She forces Wanda into her own memories, memories that Wanda would rather bury and expose the trauma that shaped her. It's uncomfortable, it's even invasive, but it's also necessary. And Agatha is the narrative device that pulls Wanda out of her denial and into self-recognition. So the final battle between them is less about good versus evil, and it's more about power versus accountability. Wanda defeats Agatha not only by outthinking her, but by embracing what she is. She becomes the Scarlet Witch. She accepts that her powers are real, immense, and even dangerous. And the victory comes at a cost. Wanda now has to choose between the fantasy world she's built and the truth that she's been running from. So, in the heart of WandaVision is this choice. Wanda walks the streets of Westview. She sees the fear and resentment. She recognizes that the pain that she's caused is real, and she can't really undo what she has done. So the moral weight of these actions is on her shoulders. But she still chooses to take down the Hex. She chooses to dismantle the world where she was happy, where Vision and her children existed, and where she could pretend that life had not shattered. It's not really a redemption arc, but it's not really a villain's downfall either. It's something quieter and far more human. She's accepting that healing cannot come from denial. She holds her children, she says goodnight for the last time. She thanks Vision for choosing her, and then she lets it all go. She knows that she's done the right thing, even though it means that it lost everything that she built to survive. So this is an act of immense emotional bravery, even if it does not absolve her of the harm that she's caused. So when Wanda leaves Westview, she does so with a mix of guilt, grief, and newfound clarity. She does not stay for forgiveness, she does not explain herself, she does not perform remorse for the sake of others. Instead, she disappears into solitude, and she steps into the role of a character who defies easy categorization. Those are words. So, is Wanda good or bad? Well, it's a complicated answer, but it makes Wanda a very rich character. And you can make arguments for both. The case for her being a good character or a good person is that her intentions stem from trauma and not malice. She created the Hex by accident, not as a deliberate act of cruelty. And she protected her town from outside threats, even if it was misguided. And most importantly, she ended the Hex herself. She chose to give up her dream life, her husband, and her children because she knew it was wrong to keep the town imprisoned. She took responsibility in the only way that she really could at that moment. And of course, the argument for her being a bad person is that the people of Westview suffered. They begged her for release. Wanda retaliated violently against Sword, even if their own methods were dubious themselves. She resisted the truth for as long as possible, and she chose to maintain the illusion even as others were harmed by it. When the Hex fell, Wanda did not seek accountability. She walked away. So whether she lacked the capacity or simply the willingness, the result is the same. The townspeople were left with trauma that Wanda caused. So this is why she exists in that gray space, where both interpretations are true. She's both a victim and a perpetrator. She's a hero shaped by pain and danger, and her danger was shaped by unchecked power. She is compassionate, but her compassion collapses when her grief becomes unbearable. She is loving, but her love becomes possessive when reality refuses to cooperate. WandaVision refuses to simplify her, and that's really the brilliance of the series. She's not meant to be neatly labeled. She is meant to be wrestled with. Her story forces us to ask difficult questions. How much pain can a person endure before they break? When someone suffers enough, does their wrongdoing become more understandable? And what happens when someone with world-altering power reaches their breaking point? She's not a monster, but she's also not innocent. She's a woman grieving in the way that the only way that she knows how to grieve. And we are meant to feel sympathy for her while also acknowledging the damage that she caused. The MCU usually deals in clear heroes and villains, but with Wanda it offers something more honest. The messy truth that people can be both harmed and harmful. And after everything she's done, and everything she's endured, do you see Wanda as more hero, more villain, or something more complicated? I would love to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment. Let me know. In the end, Wanda Maximoff embodies the complicated humanity that comic book stories rarely allow women to have. She's powerful, flawed, grieving, dangerous, loving, compassionate, stubborn, and wounded. She's not light or dark. She is Twilight. She's standing in that liminal space where both truths coexist. And that's probably why WandaVision resonates so deeply. It tells us that healing is not linear, that grief is not tidy, and that sometimes the most powerful thing that we can do is face the truth, even when it means losing the world we built to survive. All right, everybody, that is it from me this week. Thank you so very much for watching, and I will be back next week with another video. Until next time, goodbye.